Hey there, today we're going to be learning about GitHub and we're also going to be learning about source control. If you guys, I'm pretty sure you're sitting in one of probably three boats right now. One, you have no idea what GitHub is. No one's talked about it. You've not heard about it. And I'm here to talk about it because it's really important and pretty much any professional company is going to be using GitHub or something like it and will expect you to know it. Or you're sitting in boat number two. You've heard about it, you know about it, but you haven't learned it yet. It's kind of been a black box. We're going to make that an easy thing to learn today. And step three, person number three, you've maybe used Subversion or CVS. You know what source control is. You just want to learn GitHub. This might not be the tutorial for you because I'll be getting a little bit more ground level stuff here. But you'll learn it all. It just might be a little bit slower paced for you. So let's get into real quick, what is source control? Why is it important? Why does every employer value it? Let's say there's two people right here. Pretend my screen is divided here and these are two guys. Up here we have John and down here we have Bobby. So let's say this is the exact same file, open on John's computer, open on Bobby's computer, and John edits this thing and he adds an item in here. He adds an LI and he adds sand. Now, how does Bobby get that change if Bobby's already made 5 changes? He's added his own stuff down here. And now you've got to get together and get in a room. You've got to open up both copies of the file. It gets messy. As you can imagine, in a company of 10 people, it gets messy almost instantly. What do? Another common problem is people overwriting people's stuff, deleting people's stuff, having to check out files. There's really no clean way to do it. People have to be able to work on the same files at the same time without hours and hours of wasted work and unnecessary communication. That's where source control came in. What GitHub will do, or Git will do for you, is you open a Git project, and that keeps track of all the changes that you make. So when I make this change, it knows that I've made this change. And then I can at any time connect and find out anyone else's changes. So let's say Bobby's added, I forget what it is, rope. I don't know why you use rope if you're building a brick wall. At any time I can sync up to the repository and it will pull in the fact that Bobby made and saved this change. And so then I won't lose any work. It'll just automatically boom, 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 throw in everyone else's changes. And at the same time, he can do the same thing. He can sync up to the repository and get my changes. Every once in a while, you'll get what's called a merge conflict. And that's when both I have edited this line. I'm going to call it good mortar, and he's going to call this more mortar. And if he saves that, and then I sync up to the repository, it's not going to know who's right. It's just going to know I changed it and Bobby changed it. So I'll get something like this, depending on what kind of source control I'm using. I'll get your version. Something that looks an output like this, and it'll say it's a conflict. And all of a sudden I have to go, okay, one of these is the right one. Which one's the right one? Bobby changed this, I changed this. Oh, I know what I'll do. I'll go more good mortar. There we go, and then I'll get rid of all this junk, and I'll save my file. And now I had to manually merge changes. That will still happen sometimes, but GitHub will flag for you everything that both people have done. The way to minimize having to do that, because that is kind of a pain in the rear, and there's really no way around it, is to make sure you have good communication on generally who's working on what tasks. And that shouldn't happen very often. And when it does, it shouldn't be much bigger than what I just kind of showed you right there. So let's get into GitHub. Let's get into an actual project and how we're going to set this up and manage this. First thing you'll need to do is you'll need to get GitHub installed on your computer, and you'll need to sign up for a GitHub account. So go to github.com and sign up for an account. It's free. And then also go to mac.github.com or windows.github.com and install the GitHub application. That will take care of everything else you need for you right there. And it will give you a visual application, which I will tell you not to use. So this is the visual application it will give you. It's super easy, really easy to get started, but a lot of employers look down on it because Lots of people use this as a crutch instead of actually learning the command line. The command line is not hard. It's about 5 commands. A lot of people just avoid it like the plague because seeing a black screen freaks them out. But we're going to get past that fear today and have a great time with it. So I'm going to go ahead now and create a new repository. Think of repository equals project, whatever. I already did one called Git Tutorial as a test, so new Git test. So I'm making a repository called new Git test, and the only thing I'm going to check here is initialize this repository with a README. And that allows me to clone it right away. I'll show you what that means. So you see it made a new repository for me called new Git test. I already have my first file, which is called README, and all the README has is this. What the README is it's kind of any instructions you're going to give to people who use this repository. It's automatically displayed when you open up the repository. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to copy this clone URL. This is what I will use to get it on my machine. Okay, that's all I need to do for GitHub. So now I'm going to use, yes, the dreaded command line. Lots of you guys have been avoiding this because you're terrified of it. You don't know what to do with it. And we're going to get into this today. So if you're on Mac, you only need to know like 3 commands to actually use this thing, and then GitHub's 5 commands. And if you're on Windows, same thing. To open it with Mac, you go to Utilities, Applications, Utilities, Terminal. And then to open it on Windows, you're going to go Run and type CMD and hit Enter. So basically, CD is your change directory command. So if I go CD ... I'm going to go up a directory. I just went from Documents into Will, so now I can go CD back into Documents. There we go. I can also go CD ... Now I'm in Users. I can go CD Will Documents. And now that's basically CD. That's your first command. And the other one is going to be LS. And that'll show you a listing of all the files in your directory. If you're on Windows, it's going to be dir, unless you have fake Linux Mac commands installed. So you can see I have a few files in my documents thing, not much. What I'm going to do is I want to put the repository in documents, so I'm going to go git clone, and I'm going to paste that URL that I copied. Clone is your first git command. What that does is it takes that repository and it copies the whole thing down and puts it in a folder called by its name. So now if I hit ls, you can see that I have a folder called new git test. So cd new git test and ls. I've got readme.md. That's my only file. Okay, that's about all I'm going to do for now. Let me go ahead and add that folder to my project here. And new git test. There we go. So now I've got my folder. And I can do away with you. You're not necessary anymore. Actually, I'll wait for a second. And what I'm going to do down here is, let's say John Bob does the same thing. He's going to go git clone, not readme.md, this URL. John is also working on our project, so he also is going to clone it. You notice I've cloned it into a different folder. So you can actually have the same folder on your computer in 20 different places. And this one's in my GitHub folder. There we go. So now we both have the repository here. And I'm going to go ahead over here on the top, and I'm going to make a new file. I'm going to save it as new git test. We'll call it index.html. And let's make something here real quick. Let's make our first list here. We'll just kind of recreate what we had. Bricks and mortar. Let's just make it a list of 2 items. I'll save it, and you notice I got index.html there. And John still doesn't have anything because he's just working on his own. Let me go ahead and I'll make a new file here for John. And we'll call it index2.html. And we'll just do this ul. We'll just leave it like that. So John's got index 2, I've got index, and we're both working on the project, and that's all the progress we've made. So here, are you ready? We've got our first git command, which is git clone. That's going to pull any repository in using its URL. Our next git command is git status. So this is going to show us what's different between us and GitHub up in the sky right now. So all that's different now is there's an untracked file. We have created a file called index.html. GitHub has no clue that this file exists. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to do git add, which means we're going to add any changes or any new files or whatever by name. So add index.html. So now we've said, okay, put this guy into our project. If I do git status again, you'll notice that it's now a change to be committed. We have a new file, index.html. So now all I have to do is I've added it. I can go git commit, which means I'm locking it in to the repository. Git commit -m means I'm giving it a message, and the message is going to be in quotes, added index.html. There we go. So now it's committed, but it's still on my machine. It's locked into the repository, but it's not synced up to github.com yet. So all we have to do to get it to do a sync is git push. That's going to take anything on our machine and push it up to github.com. So now if I go to github.com and I refresh, you'll notice I have index.html. So there we go. Now it's up there. I'll go and hide this. And so now if this guy here goes git pull, which is, so push pushes up to github.com, and pull is going to pull down from github.com. Whoops, I'm not in the right directory. cd space new git test. Git pull. These commands will only work when you're in the directory of your GitHub repository, because you can have 100 different repositories on your computer. So I did a git pull, and you see it pulled in index.html. Now I've got them both. So now what John's going to do is John's got this guy, and I'm also going to add an item to my list here. Sand. So now if I do git status, I see two things. I've modified index.html, and I have an untracked file myself. So I can do git add index.html, and so you'll see that now if I do git status, the changes for commit are that I've modified this guy. Oops, sorry, wrong one. Changes to be committed, that I've modified this, and I still have an untracked file that's not ready to be committed. So I can do git add index2. Another thing you can do is you can do git add dot, which is going to do everything in your directory, or you can do git add dash capital A, which is going to do git add all. So I'm going to do git add A. And now if I do git status, you see that I've got two files ready to go. One that's modified, one that's brand new. And I'm going to do a terribly generic git commit, which is a bad idea, made changes. That's not useful to anyone, but oh well. So I've added, committed, I'm going to push, and now over here I'm going to pull, git pull. But before so git pull, there we go. And so now I've noticed I've got index 2, and my index 1 automatically has all the updated changes. If 5 different people were working on these files and I did a pull, it'd get everybody's changes as long as they pushed them up. So that's kind of how it works. You'll notice the commands aren't too bad so far. We've got git status, git add, git commit, git push, git pull. And that's kind of your basics into GitHub. There's about 10 commands in total. If I just type git, it'll show me kind of all the commands that I can use and kind of what they do. And that's pretty much the beginning of GitHub. So let's talk about a little bit about workflow. How do you actually do this? So one thing I'll do is when I come in at the beginning of each day, I'm going to start off by doing a git pull. I want to make sure I get everybody's updates from all, last night, the rest of the day. Hey, already up to date. Great. I'm going to make my changes. This isn't Mortar anymore. It's now called, I don't know, something else. Quickcrete. I think that's how you spell it. Made that change, and so now I'm ready to push my changes up. I'm going to add everything. Made mortar more specific. Got it, got all my changes done. I'm ready to sync up all my work to the repository. I'll do this with every kind of incremental piece of work I do. I will probably add commits all throughout the day, and then every few hours in the day, I'm going to make sure I'm in sync to make sure I don't get way far off of stuff. Let's create what's called a merge conflict here. Instead of mortar, I'm going to change this to more mortar. I think we already went through that example. So git add a, git commit. Let's say down here on the bottom, what's this guy's name again? Bobby. Bobby just made a change on a line that I made a change on. And so now when I do a git pull, it says conflict, merge conflict in index.html. You have to fix the conflicts and then commit the result. Basically, you've both changed these lines, and at first this looks like crazy freaking out. What the heck do I do with this? All it's telling me is head, which is what I'm on. We made this change to this line, and somebody else made this change. So what do we do about it? I'm not smart enough to know. You've got to figure this out. It's not too bad. I just look at the two lines and say, okay. He was adding more, which is our company's way of saying we need to get more than one. So I'm just going to do more quickcrete. I'm going to kind of manually merge those lines together. Or I'm going to just say, no, quickcrete is the right line. He didn't really know what he was talking about. We don't ever say more. Anyway, I manually make the decision. I delete all the helper things that it gave me. Save my file, and now I just hit git commit with nothing in there. Whoops, git add a, git commit. Forgot to add it. And you notice it said, okay, now it's continuing my merge branch of master. And by the way, if you ever accidentally hit commit without a message or anything, you'll get this screen and you won't figure out how to get out of it. You hit escape, WQ to save it. Escape WQ. There you go. Merge branch master. Yes, escape WQ is the most complicated part of everything we're going to learn today. Just write that one down. It takes a long time and I'm always forgetting it. Escape WQ is how you get out of a full-blown commit. I'll show you real quick just what that was. So let's say I made a change. Now I can modify the index, git add a, git commit. If you ever just hit commit without the -m, it's going to open up this same thing. It's for a full-blown message is what it is. It's for a multi-line message. There you go. So that's kind of what that was. It was like a multi-line commit message. Once again, escape, WQ, enter. And there you go, git push. And now he can do a git pull. He can find out that I've deleted that line. There you go. And that is your intro to GitHub. Once again, git commit, git add a, git push, git pull. That's about it. Have a great day.